Thank you all for joining us today. We're going to have the annual general meeting, and then afterwards, we'll do a little presentation about the Clan Forbes and their involvement in the Jacobite Rebellion of 1745, which is really quite fascinating. As always, it's complicated. So let's start off the meeting. And you've just met some of the folks, but here are all the board members. Myself, President. Leslie will probably be jumping in a little bit. You met Treasurer Norm Forbes the fourth. His dad, Norm Forbes the third, is also online. Joshua Fordyce, the conveners, and Natalie Gates with Heritage and Genealogy. And so here's what the agenda will look like. We'll go through some of the more important parts, and each of us will take a section, and you can ask questions as we go. We're going to start off with the finances, of course, with Norm. I'll jump in for membership and talk about our achievements in the last year. Then I'll also do double duty as communications and show you what we've been up to. Then Joshua will do a report about the conveners. And then in Heritage, Natalie will give you an overview of what we've done in the last year and what we're looking forward to the new year. And then we'll take all of your questions and answers. So that's what we're looking forward to with all of you here today. And if Leslie jumps on at some point, I hope she'll just say hey and take over. So first off, Norm, you're up.
Based off of the history, as you can see, we have increased, we're trying to increase our cash stream, right? So in order to go out and be a part of more, endeavors to enhance our, footprint, if you will, of the Forbes clan, out there in the world and try to reach out to other Forbes members. So my plan going into this coming FY25 period is to enhance that cash flow so we can, reach out a little further and try to engage with more personnel to come in and be a part of all the activities that we have planned.
So we'll talk about more about membership. Our expenses were down this last year. We didn't have any convener kits, but Josh will talk about that. This last year, we, for the first time, decided to get director and officer insurance for $500 a year. And then we have advertising in a couple magazines, the Scottish Banner and Scotland Magazine. We also are a sponsor of the Atlantic Highland Games. Those are our advertising expenses. That was up a little bit this year because we double dip. I paid 2 years in 1 year. And we also donated 1,000 to the Family Tree DNA kits, and we'll look to Natalie and perhaps other folks like Jean to decide how we're going to be developing more resources for genealogy and how much that will cost. So let me take it over, talk about membership. We're doing pretty well. These are the numbers we have. The current active members are dues-paying members. The patron members, those are folks who pay $600 and they're life members. The Legacy Life are those life members from the old Clan Forbes Society, which was incorporated in the late 70s. And I know Maggie Foster was a member along with me way back then. And part of the deal for folding in the old society and the new society is I agreed to keep on all the Legacy Life members as life members of the new Clan Forbes Society. And then you see the Counts Bastu, we're working on that. We're now working with a new membership works software package, which automatically renews people. So that has been a problem in the past. And to give you an idea of how well that's been working, you can take a look and see how we've increased the renewals in the past year from 23 to 24. New members are steadily increasing, but the renewal has really been increasing 25% because of this new automatic renewal program. And more people are offering gift memberships. I know Jim Forbes from Texas and Indiana has gifted a couple. I've gifted a couple as well. I know many of you have given people gift certificates. And then our patron members really took off. People are feeling more trust in the Clan Forbes Society, and they believe in what we do, and they invest $600 for the rest of their life. And that's why our total revenues are up so high. And we're really proud to see that. You can see it this in a graphic way, the difference between 2023 and 2024. So we're really doing quite well. I don't know if that momentum can be sustained, but it looks real good. If you came in a little bit earlier, you found out we had some international members, and here's what it looks like. We have several members in New Zealand and Australia. We have one in South America. Uh, we have Scandinavia. Bjorn is not the only one. Um, and we have several, of course, from the UK itself, and even South Africa. Taking a look at North America, we're all over the country, which is really great. I think that's the advantage of going online. In the past, we were counting on our conveners, and they are still very important for building that communication and connection. But being online, more people from around the country and around the world find out about us and they join us. So that gives you an idea. One of the major activities we had this last year in 2024 was, of course, our Clan Forbes Scotland tour. And we have many of members who were on the tour on the call today. Um, Norm, Wendy, um, Natalie, any comments about the tour we had this last year? Jump right in. Turn your microphone on and just jump right in.
I'll say something. I thought it was great. We saw some excellent sights. The weather was a little cold, but the people there were very friendly, and the members that were on the tour were great and friendly also. We were a great group.
If I can jump in on that, um, we were the Gilligan's Island crew. I mean, we had a doctor, a lawyer, an actress, a socialite. We had Navy pilots, teachers, business people, accountants. I mean, we were everything. And after that second day, once that engagement happened at Castle Forbes, it's like it was nonstop chattiness for the rest of the week. And that was so much fun.
Anyone else want to jump in?
I just want
Yeah.
to say I'm so glad that he said that. This I've been on two tours and they were both fantastic, but there was just something super special about this group of individuals that we really just, treated one another like family. You could feel the love in the group, and everybody was so excited to get to our heritage sites, to meet with other family members that are in Scotland. I think it changed a lot of people's lives, and obviously we gained some patron membership during that tour. So just everybody should at least go once.
Anyone else? Norm four? Okay, Norm three, you want to jump in?
Well, Norm
Not
Ford
Norm
will.
four? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, this trip just enhanced my love for our family history. And it was after this trip, I had reached out to Bart saying, I want to be more involved, which is why I find myself in the position I'm in now for the Clan Forbes Society. And that trip, I mean, I loved it. I mean, like Natalie and my dad and Wendy were saying, is that there was just this sense of just family just right out the gates. And it really inspired me to be a part of this group more, in depth.
So, Colin and Ashley, do you have any memories from this trip?
Just a slight one. No, it was absolutely amazing. And yeah, just being able to meet a new group of friends as well, and knowing that I'm pretty sure we'll all be in in each other's lives forever. And just having this bond and that trip was absolutely amazing. So
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I thought it was truly incredible. It's something that I wanted to do with Ashley and her family. And I knew that I'd be fast friends with everybody. And I really feel like I entered into new relationships. And I truly believe I did, especially with everything that everybody did to help put the engagement on. And I knew right away I wanted to join the Clan Forbes Society. I just wanted to wait until right after the wedding to make it official to join up as well. And so it was such a warm and inviting group and something truly special that I think we have here as an organization. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Anyone else want to say a few words?
Did we ever get the results of what the television crew was doing?
I knew you were going to ask.
Okay.
No, I've been checking their website. To explain, we were accosted. Is that a good word? Abused by a French video crew who wanted to do a documentary on a clan chief and his clan castle, holding his clan meetings and going to his clan games. And so they were everywhere. And they did a lot of videography. I remember standing in front of Clan Forbes. Okay, don't look at the camera. Okay, now look at the camera. Now wave at the camera. No, don't wave at the camera. Okay, get back on the bus. Don't look at the camera. Look at the camera. Um, so we were their pawns for a while, and as invasive as that was, they were more invasive with Malcolm Lord Forbes and Geordie, the master of Forbes. They actually wanted to video Malcolm putting on his kilt. You can imagine Malcolm, those who've met him. I think not. But we still haven't seen the result of that. They said it would be about 3 to 4 months. It's been about 5 months. And I will keep looking for that on their website. And they also have a channel on YouTube. Now, looking ahead, our next trip is 2026. Some of you may heard that the lovely Janet Robertson is no longer going to be managing tours. However, she is committed to doing our 2026 tour as her last tour. Also, as some of you remember from our last day, Jamie Lord Semple has decided to retire completely from all tours, and that was his last tour. And so we are reshaping or relooking at how we manage the 2026 tour, which we're still committed to doing. So Wendy Hecker has offered to, help with that, coordinate it, organize it a little bit. Now I have to see what's going to be helpful for us on the ground. But we're still going ahead with the 2026 Clan Forbes Scotland tour. You can bet your bottom dollar. So that's an update with there. Moving along, we've been very proud to have gotten a lot of discounts for our members. Most particularly, of course, the Castle Forbes grooming products. I know I have a lot, but we also have discounts from Scotland Shop, House of Tartan, and the National Trust for Scotland. And we'll continue to uh, get more discounts. I've been talking with the Scottish Banner, the editor, Sean Kearney. We may be getting something there as well. So we're continuing on the lookout to provide more value for your membership, besides, of course, just helping us out. This next year for membership, we're hoping to get a membership secretary to help with the renewals and all of that. I'm looking to produce an annual yearbook, like an annual report, a print version, kind of a substantive recap of the year. Norm and his wife have said they will help with more year-round merchandise. Natalie has been very helpful to getting some of the crested items and tartan items, but we're looking at year-round, and so Norm will have something for us. We'll work on that in the next year. And Joshua has offered to help out with book sales. We've been gifted a number of books from various sources, particularly from Karen Forbes, who wrote Descendants of James Forbes of Hartford, Connecticut. I have a couple cases of those books. I want to get them out. I also have the newer version of House of Forbes. The challenge has been um, the sales tax and the fulfillment. And I think Josh, who has experience in book sales, may be able to help us out. So that's kind of what we're looking for in a membership in 2025. Any questions or comments at this point? Okay. We can move on to communications. You've been getting your monthly email. I've been proud of getting that out. We also have a great deal of traffic on our website. You can see how many views we've had. We've had 89,000 views. We have 29,000 users, and that has translated into over 1,200 people on our e-newsletter. But we just had to move from the stop by and say hello on our website to getting them on board with our email list and then turning that into membership. I want to give you an idea of also what the most popular pages are. Obviously, it's Tartan, Heritage, House of Forbes, Genealogy. Also, one post has been very popular, and that's the one on Sarah Forbes Bonetta. She was the African princess that was the goddaughter of Queen Victoria. And there's a lot of interest regarding her life. And in fact, I just got another email from an author who wants to get more information from us about that. That still has a lot of traction. Um, in terms of where we get these folks, most of them are just popping in through an organic search. They're looking for Clan Forbes and they end up on our page, which is really great. So that's where they come from. We also have a lot of blogs over the last year. You can see some more popular ones. Um, I created a blog on the National Museums of Scotland of all the Forbes information at the National Museum of Scotland. The Scotland tour is very popular with the video I created. Um, then some of the games, people love to see people at the games, like Savannah Games. But we try to do at least a couple of Facebook posts every month. And we also are looking to increase our YouTube channel usage. We now have we have over 270 subscribers, want to do more videos and hopefully get more people involved with that, particularly our shorts, which are less than 2 minutes with a vertical video format. That's something we've been advised to do by Derek Shields, who is a professional videographer. I just posted a Facebook link to his latest video. As I mentioned, we also have advertising in the Scotland Magazine and Scottish Banner. You can see our little blurb down here in the lower right-hand corner. Again, trying to generate interest in us. Of course, we're also sponsors of the Lanark Highland Gathering, and there's our flag this on the field. And we're also in the program book. That's really important for us to give back to our heritage in Scotland. So looking to 2025, I'm looking for a director of communications. I want to start an under 30 influencer who can start doing some of these videos and produce video shorts. And we'll continue to reorganize and upgrade our website. So that's what we're looking forward to in communications in 2025. I'm looking for your advice on folks who would like to step in and help us out. Any comments or questions about communications plan? Any suggestions for anyone under 30 who wants to be an influencer? Is there anybody under 30 who's on now?
Not
I
for
don't know
much
how old you
longer.
are. What's that?
So we're not
Ashley?
under 30 for much, or we're not under 30 to begin with, but we're in the 30 range, but not for much
That's
longer.
good. So that's the plan for next year, is try to really recruit more people. Moving on to Joshua.
Hello, everybody. My name is Josh Fordyce. I've been a part of the Clan Forbes Society for probably 3 years. I've been part of the board for 2. This would be my second or third year. But one of the things that we are trying to do this year for conveners is subdivide it into districts. The United States, as you can see earlier, when we looked at how many members we have around the United States, it's everywhere. So we want to be able to have that kind of representation in those locations. Obviously, right now we just have a scatter of conveners who are convening because they just were interested. It was something they wanted to do. And I want to talk about real quickly why convening is important. As Bart said, it was the original way that we were able to communicate with people before the internet. And it's also as we heard from everyone who went on the trip, there's just something more intimate about that human connection. When you see someone, you talk to them, you are able to communicate with them face to face. It just creates a more social aspect than just glancing through the internet and seeing a website. So one of my goals and one of my plans that I'll get to in a minute is to try to target high profile areas in the United States first and work our way down. Because we are just asking, because we're just having people say, I want to be a convener. It could be anywhere in the United States, and it wasn't really a targeted area. So it could be just like a small town games in Montana. We want to try to, if we're going to be sending out convener kits and starting up, we want to hit some high profile areas first and work our way down, which is just how to do good business. This slide here is our current convener influence. These are the states and the areas that are, and you can see there's a lot of places where we are not represented. And this is not just limited to the United States. There are convening or Highland games in almost every area. The new members we have in Australia, I know they have games there. It might be a longer drive, but we really do encourage folks to help us out and try to hit some of these areas. Next slide. We have a new list online on the website for conveners and what it means. We have a convener's guide that just goes quickly through to tell you what is expected for conveners. But number one, we just want people who are familiar with Clan Forbes Society and love to talk with people. Obviously, we don't want a convener who is antisocial, because that would be a bad representation. But I am a very introverted person, but I love doing the games. I love just talking to people. My feet always hurt at the end because I never sit down. I'm always just talking to folks the whole time. So it's just a lot of fun. And we do have convener kits that are available for people to get started. So if you are interested, just because you may not live in a target area doesn't mean we aren't interested. It's just our plan from the inside going out. I've already sent an email just a couple months ago to people in the area of Chicago to start working on getting a representative in the Chicago area. I'll do the same thing for New York. New York has 8.8 million people. Like, that's a huge chunk of people who may be associated with Clan Forbes that we can hit at the same time, at one time. And as much as we'd like to do rural Missouri, even Atlanta, where I work at the Stone Mountain Games, we only have 500,000 people in Atlanta. So you can see the vast difference between New York and Atlanta and why we want to hit those areas, because I think it'll just be the best way to do it. If someone is interested in being a convener, you are never expected to just do it on your own. We have resources where someone near you could come help you, can come alongside you. I've already offered to do that this year with someone at the Grandfather Mountain Highland Games. So we're here to help and to promote the society and to promote each other and just promote our genealogy and our heritage. And that is the number one goal. And so next slide.
I just put a list of some of the events we went to. I did a little collage of photographs too with Joshua.
Okay. So I worked last year. I worked 6 separate convening events, and it's quite a bit of work. You may say, how did you afford to do that? Well, I'm kind of strange. I do a lot of camping outside of convening, so I don't mind camping to save money. That's not expected of our conveners, but I do want to say that many times the society can help with registration cost, depending on the location and depending on the time frame. But most of our conveners, especially if it's a high registration, $100, $200, the society, if they are able, can help with that. And so that's a huge benefit, I think, to folks, so that if you don't have to worry about the registration costs and getting a hotel, or, all these different other things that could be overwhelming, and you're just like, no, I don't want to do it because it costs too much. So we definitely want to use some of those resources that we have. There's a picture there in the bottom left of a game that we have. We call it the Connect Forbes game, and it's very popular. But it's just a Connect Four game that I painted a Scottish flag on, and I get a lot of requests for orders for that. So maybe we can put that on the website as something that we sell. But it is interesting that a lot of people come up to me and say, "Hey, where can I buy that?" And it would be cool if I could just say, "Go to the Clan Forbes website." But yes, we are all over the place, the four corners of the United States, and there's a new updated convener and Highland game lists on our website that Bart made himself for Costco, but we also utilize that resource. So you can see which games are close to you. You can also just do a general Google search. If you type in Highland games closest to me, it'll pop up and show you which one is the closest to where you're at. We do encourage folks, even if you're not a convener, to go to the Highland games and get plugged in with, our family and friends throughout the United States. I highly encourage it. That's what got me started in this. Is I went to Stone Mountain Highland Games in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was looking for the Forbes tent. And I couldn't find it, and my wife was like, "Oh no, here it comes!" And I said, "I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure out how to get this thing here." And it was just it was a wonderful experience for us. And my wife, it's a great thing that we do together, because she loves the social aspect of it, and I love the historical and genealogical aspect of it. And it's something we're total opposites. In fact, she's a Gordon, and I'm a Forbes. So anytime we have an argument in the house, I always blame it on our Scottish DNA. But it is really a great time for us, and it's a great time for friends. I know families who do it together. I know relationships who do it together, and it's just really builds up your relationship with being able to talk to each other and other people.
Great. Any comments, questions
Can I break in and just ask how you get on that list? Because I manage a Highland Games here in Wilmington, and I've been trying to get on that list for 3 years.
Oh, the list of being a convener, or on
No,
the list
the
of all
list
the
of Highland
games?
Games.
Oh, email. I think I already got your email, Catherine.
Okay.
I do both the Council of Scottish Clans and Associations
Right.
list
I
and the
know.
Forbes, and I think I put it in there. I've been so
I just
busy. I will take a
I
look at
just
that
went
for
to look
sure.
and it's not on there. So
Okay. I will follow up. I know you sent me a note about that, but
I
I
just want
try
to
to
be on the
make sure.
list. It'd be great
Yeah.
if we could have a Forbes tent, but I just would like to be on the list.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Because yes.
It makes absolute sense with what you're talking about, Joshua, with putting kind of your money where the most population is. I guess I'm wondering also for some of those places, well, like in Georgia, what was the turnout for the games? What are we talking about average turnout currently? Do you have any idea?
Well, the games in Atlanta, there were thousands of people that showed up. So there's all of the major cities we are 100% on board with, and typically that's where the games are. But there are a lot of historical games that are just in smaller areas. For instance, here in Georgia, we have a Blairsville games that's in North Georgia in the mountains, and that is way smaller than the Atlanta one. So I may only interact with a couple hundred people at that one.
Yeah. So, well, I was going to say, you mentioned Montana. I'm in Montana, and it would seem counterintuitive that in the little town in the Bitterroot Valley, the little town of Hamilton, which the town is 2,000, but we have for the games we have 5,000 people.
Right. That's what I was going to say. I actually would love Montana because of, if you look at that map again of the United States, there's not a lot for people to go to if they were from Clan Forbes.
Yeah.
And if you look up there, it's great out all around Montana. So that's just, we would love to have a Montana location because that gives people, it's kind of like the sports teams. You got to pick your sports team that's the closest, and we want to have that ability. We don't have anything up into the north of the United States. So that's perfect.
Okay, so I will email you.
Awesome.
And by the way, since don't want to take more time, but I will. It's interesting. I'm an interloper. I'm a SEP. The Berries were SEPs to the Forbes, which is
Mm-hmm.
very interesting historically. And as an outsider, I think that relationship between SEP historically and currently is still something that I would love to hear conversations about. We were at the Lonic Games this last summer, and it's again very welcoming and kind of like we feel like part of the family. And we're told, yes, you are part of the family, but are we or not? That's all a little confusing for people, I think. So, for what it's
Well,
worth.
well, I know Clan Forbes Society has affiliate members, and you don't have to have a
Yeah.
surname that's associated.
Yeah.
And so that I've had people who have asked me, "Can I be a part of this, even though I'm not a Forbes?" And we say absolutely every time, because the society is important for preservation of Clan Forbes specifically, but it's all part of the greater purpose of like, hey, we need to keep this stuff going because it's a lot of clans are extinct now because there is no continued support and there is no, so we aren't really in a position, I don't think, to be that way. But I also know Lord Malcolm is very inviting to folks outside the family. So
Yeah.
Natalie,
Yeah.
did I see you pop in, or you want to say something about that?
Yeah, I wanted to say a couple things real quickly because I joined as a convener for the same exact reason Joshua did. I had gone to Estes Park, which is the largest one in Colorado, years ago. Forbes was there, then they disappeared. So I joined to be a convener in Estes Park and I handle Colorado. I do know that there is one that a lot of the Colorado Scottish people from like our St. Andrews Society here, they go to Wyoming. I used to have family up in Montana. I'm excited to hear that you're up there, Tim. But to your point about being a sept, I have made a severe point about telling everybody how welcoming Malcolm is by having the quote of him with a picture of him and Jordy on the very front of my table at every event I go to so that people understand you don't just have to be a sept of ours. We will welcome you if you feel that calling to your Scottish heritage. We want everybody. But I have four people that I met 2 years ago from Kansas, and they are Middletons, which is another sept. And they had such a great time with us. I told them, consider me your home base. There's always going to be somebody here in my tent. Come and go and treat this as your home. And when I did that, the whole time I kept saying, learn some more history about I personally don't like to know about all the wars. I'm excited about the genealogy portion of it and our history and the stories, but the wars kind of bore me. So I said to them, learn about the wars and come back and do this with me next year. And so last September, sure enough, I got a text message. We're going to be there. We have planned our vacation. The four of us are coming. And it was so awesome because, they have their kilts now. They were in the parade with us and they feel just as welcomed and they don't have the name Forbes. So,
I want to
we
just
definitely
jump in
want all
too.
of our,
Yeah.
what's that?
I just want to jump in on a historical note. It's so funny because just today I'm writing an article for the Council of Scottish Clans and Associations about the clan and family societies taking the role of the ancient clans and where they draw their traditions from. And I was just working today on seps. And it's a curious thing, as you point out, to because nobody can explain it. But I think that's why I put up this slide. If you see in the lower part of it, you said we have a new banner that says "You are a Forbes," and it lists all the variations of the spelling of Forbes, like Furbish and Fobs, etc., but also the seps.
Steps, yeah.
But the point is really, as Natalie said, is the attitude of our own clan chief. And you can see on the left of his picture his quote when I asked him if he would approve this list of SEPs and he doesn't have any information. Here's what he wrote. My own personal view is that anyone, whatever their name, who regards themselves as in any way associated with the clan should be welcomed with open arms. As you can imagine, we receive a lot of visits from people claiming to have connections, including, of course, some of the official SEPs. And I always try to encourage them to wear the tartan. Here's the good part. In this troubled world, I think there is every reason for encouragement to be given to anyone who would like to be associated to our peaceful clan where grace is our guide. That's the attitude of our clan chief. As a historical fact, all ancient clans are extinct. Clans were based on land, socioeconomic support, and their chief. Clan Forbes has been very fortunate to have a continuous line of clan chiefs. We also have a continuous line of our ancient heritable lands. Very few clan chiefs have any lands, much less our ancient Dothshus. Did I say that right, Natalie? The Gaelic?
Yeah, you're fine though.
Yeah, but the ancient lands that we claimed in the 1000s, the 800s. So we want to share that heritage. And the point of joining a society, is to make that connection. And if we can help people make that connection in any way, we're going to do it. I'm sorry. I feel very passionate about that, but those are the words of our clan chief.
Can I make a point, Bart and Joshua, and Natalie as well? We went to my wife and I went to the Grandfather Mountain games this last year, and we spent a lot of time with Ron Pearson and his family, and they're great people. What I was quite interested in, we went along with some neighbors of ours from our house in North Carolina who are Morrisons. And what I noticed was the Morrison tent was very active, in addition to which they actually had Andrew Morrison as one of the speakers. Given exactly what you've just said, Bart, and I fully endorse all of that, is there not the possibility of getting a Forbes speaker into some of these games to really talk about some of those particular aspects? For example, my wife and I spent some very interesting days with Alex Forbes at Dramina Castle last Easter, and we're going to actually go and see him again in June. What a fascinating story that castle actually has for all of us, because we basically all go back to that castle. So it would seem to me that there is something that we could really leverage there in terms of this history, if we can get some speakers to actually go along to these games and get that sort of interest.
I have three direct responses immediately. First, I love Andrew. The Viscount Dunrussell and I chew the fat on a regular basis. We're regular correspondents. I'm on the task force for the Scottish Chiefs, and he's, of course, on the executive committee of the Standing Council of Scottish Chiefs, and I'm a representative of the Council of Scottish Clans and Associations, and we've been fighting over the whole idea of SEPs, societies, clan chiefs, etc. I love that man to death, and I love his family. Yes, in terms of speakers, in fact, just today I got a notice from the Sherman Celtic Festival asking if anyone would want to be a speaker at their games. I'm going to be there with Norm. And so Norm and I will both be speakers. You just found that out, Norm. Um, but I think we need to do more of that. And that's also kind of the impetus behind the presentation after this meeting about Clan Forbes and the Jacobite Rebellion of 1745. Regarding the wonderful Alex Forbes, Natalie, tell them your idea that you want to do.
Alex and I have been going back and forth, and suddenly he's playing very shy, which is
Oh,
not really a surprise. It's not a surprise. We're still working through the details, but the intent is that um, we're going to literally pick his brain, which, if anyone on here has met him, you know there is so much information just in his head. He has touched some of the oldest documents from the Clan Forbes. He's seen things, read things in Latin. He knows a lot of the information. We want to glean as much information. I'm hoping we're still debating on, he's like, I'll write papers for you. I don't know if I want to do an interview. So what we had talked about was making it into an interview format, having him answer some questions, about each of the different houses and basically have something where we have a blurb of actually Alex, that we can have it up on our website, that we can utilize it for our newsletters and our different things. He has got so much stuff that none of us will ever see in our lifetime that he's looked at and held and even has in his library at Draminer. So, yeah, he's a huge part of what we're working on for upcoming for this year. So.
and so we gonna work. We do have a lot of wonderful people. Another great resource is Jamie Lord Semple. He did the blog about a personal view of the Forbes of Craigievar. I also want to tap other people we've met. For example, Sir James Forbes, who is the new Laird of Course in Craigievar. I've also been negotiating with the National Trust for Scotland to see if we can leverage our way into that. The last blog we had was trying to get information into the Aberdeen and Northeast Scotland Family History Center using some of those connections. So you're absolutely right, Trevor. We need to leverage all of these resources. Most recently, I did a blog on the Forbes of Pitsligo and the attainted Lord Pitsligo, which you'll hear about here. The current holder of the title of Forbes of Pitsligo and Monimus, his wife, Cindy, contacted me. I want to do a report about him. He lives actually in New Zealand. Hello. So we have these wide-reaching connections that I want to bring to all of us. And Trevor, I would love to have you work with Natalie and me on doing that.
I'd be very happy to do that. I mean, we had a fascinating time with Alex, who actually introduced us to our ancestor Alistair Forbes and his tomb. So that was really quite fascinating. So we are quite engaged with that. But yeah, if I can help, I'd be happy to do so.
Alex needs
Okay.
to start a podcast at his castle up in the library or by the fireplace.
Yes.
That'd be
Yeah.
great. Fireplace chat.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. That leads right into Natalie. Good segue,
Yeah,
guys.
I sort of blew a little bit of it, and I see that Bart, you just do wonderful slides. I feel if I just let you
That's my
go,
only super PowerPoint is my only superpower.
I'm actually pretty good at PowerPoint as well, but I actually like seeing what you come up with. So I sort of, yeah, I'll admit I was working on something else. However, so Heritage, Bart and I have been talking a lot about Heritage since the trip. Obviously, conversations with Alex, conversations with Lord Semple, conversations with, Malcolm. We've come up with some plans, some things we want to do going forward, including, getting Alex more involved, and getting some of that stuff recorded so that we don't lose it. I mean, I'm not saying something's going to happen to Alex, and I certainly don't want to jinx him, but he's getting older and he can talk for hours about our clan, and I want all that information, and he's it's just getting it out of him that's going to be a little bit, I'm trying to talk him into the recording still. So but also, I'm super excited about seeing some of the results of the poll that we had last year. People really want to know, how do I connect? How does my Forbes person connect? And so going forward, I've actually downloaded our current ancestry genealogy that we have out there, which I'm not 100% sure who was all involved in putting that up there. A lot of it was taken from the book, The House of Forbes, which, as we know, is a great resource, but it obviously doesn't include, probably any of us in it, because we weren't alive when it was written. And we all have family history and family Bibles and things. And so one of the goals going forward is putting together a group of individuals that one of the ladies on here, Jean Gore, I know she'll understand when I say this. She belongs to the Daughters of the American Revolution, as do I. The standards of genealogy are very specific and strict. You can't just say, oh, I know this because, yeah, I know this. You've kind of got to have the proof. You've got to be able to paper it. And so, what we want to do is create our tree to be very paperable. We want to have those sources. We want to have those connections. We want to be able to have, all of us put our family lines on there so that when you go in, you can go, oh my gosh, look at this. This is my 24th great grandfather, is, the first clan chief. I mean, ideally, that's kind of what everybody wants to do. So I'm gonna put together a team of people. If you're interested in joining that team, reach out to me. We're gonna set some guidelines. I'll set some guidelines on how we want to do things and how we're going to break it up. And then obviously, by doing this, we can offer this to our new members as somewhere where they can say, well, gosh, I think I'm a Forbes. I think my grandma's name was a Forbes. We may be able to connect that person in, because what we will do is we will build the tree with all the siblings. Most of us build a tree and we write in grandma and grandpa, and then we write their parents, but we don't write all their siblings. So by having a team of actual genealogists who know what to do and how to document it, we will get it from a certain point documented, and then people will just be able to reach in and, as long as they can get to a grandparent or whatever, they'll be able to connect in to how they relate to the Clan Forbes. Another project that we're looking at is, in order to draw truly some more people from Europe, I guess, and some more people from our homeland of Scotland, is to get some people involved using the Guild of One Name Study, which we've been talking about. And that's another, it's a landing page that will, oh yeah, I don't even worry about slides because Bart knows where to go. So, the Guild of One Name Studies, I like the name because if you belong to it, you're a goon. Guild of One Name Study, you're a goon. And I'm kind of a dork, so I guess I like that. But it would be a good landing page where a lot of people, maybe not necessarily from the US, have a connection, and we can use that as a reach out to the Clan Forbes Society. We do have international members, and we appreciate our international members. I know we need to get a convener in Canada, and I know we've got some people on the call today that are in Canada. There's some big games coming up next year in Canada. It would be great to have a presence for Clan Forbes. But ideally, it's just another way for all of us to connect to one another, to connect to our heritage. We've also put together a formal, and we're still doing the final drafts on that. I was editing it again this morning. The grant that we did last year for our, which was our first ever grant from the Clan Society for Heritage and Genealogy. We had a woman who is a Forbes who has been competing internationally at the at the Scottish Athletics. She has, I think this, I'm not 100% sure. I think this is the year she's going to Australia, but she's been all over the world, and she is her mother was a Forbes. So her name is Cindy Johnson, but her mother is a Forbes, and they are so deeply in love with their heritage. Her mother came out to the festival this year and got honored by the Clan Forbes in Estes Park. And unfortunately, she couldn't be there because she was competing somewhere. But we have this grant that we're putting out there, for her, what it did for her was it allowed her to purchase a new Forbes kilt that was specially made for athletics so that it doesn't fall off while she's competing. But it's also a grant that if you wanted to put together a program for Scottish heritage, it doesn't necessarily have to be Forbes heritage, but Scottish heritage. We want to educate the people around us and draw in people from other places that want to have that connection. The way that the grant is written, it sort of says if you wanted to have an educational thing, if you wanted to take an educational class about Scottish, um, in a Scottish interest of yours, if you needed a kilt, if your child was performing in the um, Scottish dancing and needed something, this is where, once a year we would offer a grant to a member or a, family member of a member. And we've got all those details in the grant and it'll be finalized soon and put on the website. But again, that's something where we really want to expand the excitement about our knowledge, about our history and Scottish history and Clan Forbes history as well. So got a lot of plans going forward and always happy to take other suggestions as well.
I have to commend Natalie because she was the one who pushed this whole idea of grant. I did actually a research project for the Council of Scottish Clans and Associations, and a number of other clan societies do offer grants or even scholarships. And Natalie was the one that said, we got to do this ourselves. So we started off small with someone we know, but the grant program can grow. As you saw, we're doing very well financially. We want to encourage other people to connect. If people are interested in developing a grant program with Natalie, I would encourage you to work with her on that. It's a really great way to show our absolute skin in the game in terms of heritage and genealogy. Are there any questions for Natalie about heritage and genealogy? Well, we've come to the end of this part of the annual general meeting. You have all of us here. I don't, is Leslie on yet? No. Okay. You have four of us here. If you have any other questions about the society or suggestions, please jump in right now. Otherwise, we will go into the second part of the program, which is Clan Forbes Society and involvement in the Jacobite Rebellion of 1745. Anybody jump in?
Just one question for Natalie. This is Robert. Did Malcolm show you the genealogy that his mother completed, I think it was, while you were at the castle?
Yes. Oh, yes. And I have that.
Okay. I didn't want to take any pictures inside the house or be rude, so I didn't. But that was very interesting, I thought, because it goes all the way back to the 800s. So.
Robert?
Yeah, and actually, we have Bart put together from that. Actually, he put something together on the website, and I recently put it together on a 5 by 3 foot poster, and I have it when I convene up in Colorado. It hangs there, and so I tell everybody, if you're a Forbes, you can go back to the Kings of the Celts. So come on over, and everybody's interested in it. The Donaghy's come over because you can see where they are in it. The McDuffs come over because you can see where they are in it. But yeah, we do have that, and we do have that as a resource on our website, thanks to Bart.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes, that is now actually a banner that we now have. So I took what she started off and see at the bottom, research conducted by Rosemary Catherine Lady Forbes. I took pictures of each section of that poster board she did. Because like you, I was like, wow, this is great. And so this is now available as a banner. I made some minor edits, but you can see that I credited her for that.
Can I just make one point, Natalie? I'll send you the copy that I have of the genealogy that I constructed with Alex's help, which actually got me all the way back to Dromina Castle through Alistair Cam Forbes, which is quite fascinating.
Oh, I would love that. Yes,
It's a
please
very
do.
interesting group, and I've got a lot of side siblings in there too. So I'll send that to you, and I think you might be interested in that. That may be something that, can be used in the future.
Absolutely. Yes, wonderful.
It's Heather here in Canada. Hope you can hear me. And I was in Scotland in September, and I can tell you a couple things. There's a great presence of Forbeses up in the islands and the Orkneys and so on and so forth. I've been doing my genealogy for about 30 years now. And of course, with many roadblocks, as we all can appreciate. One of the other things when I was in Edinburgh, I noticed as well, and this is my second trip over, and I met with family over there in the Orkneys. But, I'm sure we visited every tartan shop in all of Edinburgh, and you could not find a Forbes anything anywhere. So I would suggest that may be something we could, speak to Malcolm about. Perhaps, I don't know how that works. We could not even buy a tie. We were looking to buy a couple of ties for some of our family members back here, and we just couldn't find anything, like simple like that. So that was
I would encourage you, Heather, to go to the Scotland shop. We have a very close relationship.
I know online you can get them, but when you're there and you kind of want
to, what? I
Free
will talk
them
to
at the
that woman.
Scotland shop.
Yeah.
Right in
Edinburgh.
Right in Newtown. We were there.
In Newtown. Okay, I'll go, because we were in Edinburgh. We went everywhere. We were there for 5 days.
Scotland shop does have them.
Okay, because we couldn't find them anywhere. Nobody could help us. And I know most of those tartan places we were in St. Andrews and we couldn't find any.
Yeah.
Now, that I would find a little bit of a reach. Anyway, having said that, I was just curious as to how that marketing aspect of tartan was
Heather,
handled.
I suggest that you would be a great person to talk with some of the many merchants throughout Scotland to see if you connect them up with some like Loch Heron is one of the producers. I mean, Malcolm and Ginny have ties at Castle Forbes. Work with Scotland Shop. I also know a woman-owned weaving company called the Prickly Thistle. I don't know if anyone knows of that. They're in the Black Isle, but there are tartans available. But maybe just a few keywords in the ear from you to God.
And yes, I mean, of course, and I have been at Dromina, and I did meet with Malcolm, with Alex's mother, 30,000 years ago, it seems. And did get the tour of Dromina, so I was very, very lucky. But what I was just wondering if there was any way that we could expand that. In other words, expand that marketing ability, because I think if I go there as a Forbes and I can't find something, like, what do other people do? How do they go looking for stuff, and if they don't find it, what happens? So I'm just curious if you run into.
I would love to hear your report and recommendations.
Okay, I will. I'll tell you what I'll do. I am also possibly, and I'm like a lonely island here where I am, and I know about your grant you did for that lovely lady who was at the Moncton Highland Games last year competing. I am possibly or planning on trying to do a meet the breeds, all the Scottish breed dog breeds in Moncton at the Highland Games there, and in conjunction, possibly I could tie it together with Clan Forbes, something on the side, but I don't have a lot of Forbeses out here to work with. So it's a bit of a challenge for me, being the only one, but the only one that I know of. I shouldn't say I'm not the only one, but I will look into that and find out what I can find out about expanding that tartan presence, because I think it's really people just show up in Edinburgh and they expect to find everything. It doesn't always happen.
I can give you some contacts for some people, like
okay, I'd love that. And you have my
Celtic Jackalope. I don't know if you know of them, but that is the guy who runs Celtic Jackalope is actually the cousin of Valerie Edwards, our convener in California. They usually have a lot of Clan Forbes tartan, at least at the games. I also
yeah.
have met with other folks, not
Okay.
only Scotland Shop, but House of Tartan, and I'm
Yeah,
also
House of
know
Tartan, I know. Yeah.
Scottish Gourmet USA. I have that's also a great source. Again, this is mostly retail or at the Clan
Sure.
games, not so
Sure.
much on the ground in Scotland.
No, exactly. So I just thought I'd point out. That's why. I mean, I am aware you can order and you can go online and you can find Scotland and House of Tartan and all these things. But I just want people to feel like you should see a presence of us a little bit more when you are there.
Yep.
That's all. Right. So I can look into that. I will. Those shops over there, I kind of figured out how that marketing, that those shops are owned and who owns them and how it works. So I'll do a little research more and I'll get back to you on that, Bart. Glad to do that. And I just thought I'd throw my aura in for a little bit.
Thank you, Heather.
You're
Anyone
welcome.
else want to say anything, or you're concerned that I might ask you to volunteer? Comments, questions, anyone?
Bart, although I'm not volunteering for anything here, I just want to follow up with what Heather was saying because I agree with what she was saying. If you go to the tartan shop in Edinburgh, you'll see Forbes tartan. But if you go to virtually any of the tartan shops all over Aberdeenshire, for goodness sake, you'll see plenty of others. You just don't see Forbes. In Braemar, for example, we were down there, and the little shop there, lots of tartans, no Forbes, which is bizarre given the fact that you're only sort of next door to the Forbes area.
We're a small clan, but we can create demand. And one good thing is perhaps we could suggest that they offer a discount and then we can promote them directly. So there are opportunities here.
Yep, I agree.
Anyone else before we jump into the next presentation? I
If
know
I
it's
may, I've got
who's
two
that?
things.
Yes.
Maggie, yeah. The Clan Forrester, which was moribund for many, many, many years, faced this same problem with the tartan. And their solution was to order a lot of it, and then they made items and they sold them, and that started the ball rolling. So, and we've got Forrester tartan in the closet because of that. So there are other ways to attack this other than to attack the people who are already in the business and trying to make money. The second thing I wanted to say was DFW has lost its games. We no longer have a games anywhere in the North Texas area that's worthy of the name. Is anybody trying to fix that?
Well, it's a long haul, as you know, Maggie, for me to drive from the Gulf Coast of Texas up past Dallas. But now that Norm is up there, we will be going to the Sherman Celtic Festival. And I did not go to Salado this year, but maybe I can convince Norm if I give him enough whiskey that maybe he can cover that as well. Look, he perked up. Also, there's a brand new Highland Games in well, actually, there's one in Tyler as well, which I skipped, but there's another new one east of Dallas, and I forget where. But they connected me. So there are a few more in the Dallas area, if not in the Dallas-Fort Worth area directly. So Norm and I, over whiskey, will be brainstorming.
Well, here's the thing. I've been going to these games 40, 50 years, something of that sort. We have gone through small games over and over and over and over and over and over again in East Texas. They just can't support them. DFW is the large area, and that's where you're going to find people, and that's where you're going to find the money. So we need that area targeted like targeting New York City. That's the mindset that we need for DFW.
I agree.
We're the fourth largest metropolitan area in the United States of America now.
Yes. Yes, I know. And as I pointed out, I mean, you saw the graphic. Let me see if I can put it up again. But yes, there's a lot of people because of our internet marketing in the North Texas area. The problem is people. But the more people we can connect up with Joshua and go there, that'd be great. It's again, like was mentioned before with the tartan. We're a small clan, but if we create the demand for it, that's what will help. Um, and the problem I've seen is that we don't have any way to identify people in particular areas. That's why I just did a banner for Casca, which lists all of our, let me see if I can pull it up, all of the clans and associations. I want to start showing that in many other areas because we can use that to get members to join us, at least on the, to join us in terms of the games that we don't have people at. What I've done is create this. I think you can see it there. It's a banner. With all of the Scottish clans with a QR code to a page on Casca's website, which indicates the links to the Clans Society webpage and the Facebook page. Do you see that?
Yes.
So I've gotten the first one made. Norm and I will use it at the Sherman Games, and it costs about 25 to 30 bucks each. I want Casca to print 50 or 100 of them so that we have one at each of the games. So that's a way that we can start getting connections with people. So that's why I'm using my role of Director of Communications at the Council of Scottish Clans and Associations to find out more and to leverage our position. Again, Forbes have always been a small clan, but very influential. And I want to leverage that. Yes, Tim, I see your hand up.
I'm going back to be it's probably sounding redundant, but if we, as you're suggesting, working with the inclusivity for the SEPs, if you've got names there that people are walking by your booth and they say, oh, I'm a blah, 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 that's going to draw them in. So you're exponentially growing your
Yes.
family a lot just by being inclusive as opposed to those others that are more exclusive.
Yes, and I just was, as I mentioned, I was just writing about those. The Clan MacDonald. Oh my God, you have to prove a genealogical connection. You have to have a name from a certain area of Scotland. And the whole point is for a Scottish Heritage Society is to help people connect with the heritage of Scotland. So yes, that's why I developed that new banner, but also really want to emphasize with all of you, we are the clan society for anyone who wants to connect. That's why I highlight Malcolm. We are so, I have to tell you, we are so fortunate to have a clan chief like Malcolm. I think those who've met him will agree. He's old school, but he's very inclusive and he gets it. And know what? He's not a member of the Standing Council of Scottish Chiefs because he doesn't think they do stuff.
Have you
That's what
also
Malcolm's all about.
considered?
He is a working chief. He manages a state which was granted to him centuries ago, and he's maintained it, unlike a lot of clan chiefs. And he believes that we need to open ourselves up to everybody so that they can feel that connection. Whether they're a Barry or any other person, we will welcome them in because we are the clan who offers the motto of Grace Me Guide. I'm sorry. I
Have
love
you
this stuff.
considered also marketing to Ulster Scots?
That's been another question. I mean, but we're open to anybody. The question you point is very good, Megan. Marketing. What does that mean? Do I get a mailing list? I mean, we post
Well,
our ad in Scottish Banner and the Scotland Magazine. Is there a list of Scottish Ulster men that I can
the Ulster
buy?
Society will be in Dallas in March, and I'm going. And so I'll have access to two of their high muckety mucks, and I can ask some questions along these lines and see what they have to say for themselves. But the number of people in the United States of America who came through Ulster
Yes.
is huge.
Yeah, through the clearances. Yeah. Well, we also have
And other
a
reasons.
a huge connection, of course, with the Earl of Granard, which we have yet to make a connection to. Malcolm doesn't communicate with the Earl of Granard. Many of you might know in the 1600s, it was a big push by the English and Scottish governments to quell those rebels in Ireland by grabbing land after a bunch of the chiefs there left because of the wars, and so they planted land there. And there's another Castle Forbes, which you may see in County Longford. And that Castle Forbes is the ancestral home of the Earls of Granard, who evolved into being very Irish. We have yet no connections to the Earls of Granard and their family in Ireland, and we really should. I think that's our entryway there because they are really Irish as well.
Mm.
But who's going to do that in my spare time?
Well, let me talk to these specialists.
Please.
It's the Dallas Genealogical Society, so it's all blood and family lines. That's what they
Yeah.
care about. And I'll just
Well, mention the Forbes of Granard. Maybe
see
they
if
might
by
know of
any
them. They're
chance
very well known.
they've got any suggestions.
Okay. It's 22 minutes past the second hour. Any other questions? I want to jump right into the Jacobite Rebellion as promised. It might be about 15-minute long. So any other questions before we jump into the presentation?